Fight and Talk back again, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Charles Joyner ahead of his bout against ONeil on FCC on Saturday, September the 9th. Charles, back in the cage, you've already made that walk once, got them jitters, I guess, out of the way. How excited are you to be back in? And in such a quick turnaround as well.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I would have liked to have got in a bit sooner. Like, I didn't really take any damage in that fight, so I was just trying to get a match up pretty much straight away, but that was a little bit difficult. And then FCC came along and they said, would I be keen to fight Jordan ONeil? And then I'm never one to turn down a fight, so I said yeah, they said yeah, and then here we are. But yeah, excited to get back in.
Before we look at the FCC bout then, if we rewind the clock a little bit to that pro MMA debut, of course, you're a vastly experienced kickboxer, but it was your first time making the walk on Almighty. What was that like to get out there, get in the cage? And I guess, how did it differ? It's a vastly different experience in terms of time and in terms of everything, from MMA to kickboxing. The round lengths are different and everything. What was it like making that pro debut?
It felt familiar because, like, I've always, even when I was doing kickboxing back home in Australia, I was always sparring with MMA guys, so we were always doing like 5-minute rounds, and then often when I was getting the better of them, they'd just try and take me down anyway. So I felt like I've always just been doing little bits of MMA, but obviously I've only really been focusing on it fully since the start of this year. So the grappling was still pretty fresh to me, and then it sort of, when he grabbed a hold of me, it sort of dawned on me of like, oh shit, like he's going to try and finish me here. Whereas obviously in the gym, like, people try and submit you, but it's not like a life or death situation. So that was like a good little learning experience. And then, like you said before the interview, I got like a little taste of everything in there. I got a bit of adversity and then had to fight my way out of it, and then was clinical with the finish. So yeah.
On that adversity then, yeah, look, the fight did go at the ground. You did have to scramble up and before you land that beautiful kick to the body, but you must have been happy. I mean, the fight didn't even make out the first round, but like you just said there, you did. You really got to experience every facet of MMA within the space of 2 minutes.
Yeah. Like, it was crazy when I saw the time was only like, I think it was like 2 minutes and 22 seconds that I got the finish, but obviously it felt like I was a while in that, like, it felt like he had my back for like a good 10 minutes, but obviously time like slows down a little bit, and then I think, like, I stayed pretty relaxed, and that's testament to the training and then the training partners I've got here who are always just putting me in bad positions and I'm having to work out of it. And then I think just myself, I always search out the bad positions in training, so it's like you lose in the gym so that you can win on the night. So I think I do that pretty well, and then that held me in good stead. But then obviously the most experience you get is from the fight, so that was like a little crash course in MMA in like 2 minutes, which is good.
Look, I was in early hour this morning to get a couple of the other guys from the gym as well, and you were already training with your coach Andrew Fisher. How much has he added to your game, and how much has he helped you come on as a mixed martial artist?
Well, is that exactly that? Like, as a mixed martial artist, like, not just the grappling, I think he's like really improved my striking and just like broken it back down to fundamentals and key little details that I was missing. And then because he's so analytical with his approach to everything, I think I was already like that, but then he's just made me double down on just perfecting those little details. So not only has he helped me improve like the grappling side of things, the wrestling side of things, and those key fundamental details that I need, but also with the striking, which I think most people when they transition over, they have the mindset of like, oh, I'm good at striking, I don't need any coaching on that. But I'm just trying to soak up all the knowledge he has, because he's got way more years of experience than me, and he's constantly researching and developing his knowledge. So yeah, he's helped in every aspect of mixed martial arts, which has been, it's been great.
If we do look forward then, FCC, Jordan ONeil, what do you make of him as an opponent? Want to know as a pro, I know he's got quite a big amateur background as well. What do you make of him as an opponent?
I think he's good. I never want to take easy fights. When I say easy fights, I mean, like, I don't want to take, I think a lot of people just fight, cans in their early fights, just trying to build up their records before they sort of, like, fake their way to a big stage. But I think he obviously wants to take tough fights. I mean, he sort of like everyone that I fought in kickboxing. He's just gonna come out and try and take my head off. If he tries to fight at range with me, it's going to be a bad night for him, because that's where I excel. But if he tries to explode on me as well, I've got years of experience of that, and I know exactly what to do then. I finish plenty of people when they do that to me as well. So I think he'll be game. He'll obviously be dangerous. He's got a puncher's chance. Like I'm experienced enough to know that people have a puncher's chance and that you're not invincible. But I think the skill level is heavily in my favour, and I think he'll be forced to grapple, which will be his plan B. He won't be that comfortable grappling in a fight because he hasn't really done it that much, like offensively. He's done it defensively before, but yeah, I mean, I analyse my opponents, I study them, I look where their weaknesses are, and I'm pretty certain I've figured out where his weaknesses are and what I'm going to exploit.
I know he's got a few submission finishes on his amateur record as well. Look, you've come in at this from kickboxing. Everybody knows you've come in at this from kickboxing. Do you expect it? And you're also a giant, so fighting you at range isn't going to work. Do you expect a lot of people now to try and take the fight to the ground thinking that'll be where your vulnerable spot is, and it ultimately gives you the opportunity to show that, no, actually, as we touched on before, you're the full rounded mixed martial artist? Yeah,
I think especially at the start, like that's when people will be taking the fight going, oh, he's a kickboxer, so we got to take him down. He won't be strong on the ground, because I think most kickboxers come into MMA thinking, I'm going to be a striker and I'm just going to work on my defensive stuff, and then really panic when he gets to the ground, and then just, if it's not on the feet, then it's like almost game over. But for me, being in this gym and having Fisher, and the reason I wanted to get into MMA was, if I just wanted to strike, I would have just stayed in kickboxing. So the reason I got into this game was to be a full-rounded fighter, be strong everywhere. Obviously, I'm developing those skills. They're not as polished as my striking skills, but I definitely got some tricks on the ground, and and obviously it'll only be a matter of time before I'm showing them off in fights as well.
Finally then, if we look at the show itself, FCC, it's a massive show, streamed live on UFC Fight Pass. For you to be getting an opportunity on arguably one of the biggest stages on the domestic scene in just your second pro fight, how nice is that for you?
Yeah, it's good. I think, I've headlined cards on DAZN before. Like I've been on big shows before, so it doesn't feel like out of place. I feel like it's where I should be, and I feel like it won't be long until I'm on the really big show. So, it's all things I've envisioned, just like a stepping stone in the right direction, whether it be, FCC, Cage Warriors, KSW, Octagon. It's like those stepping stones until we get to the big show. But it's nice as well to be on UFC Fight Pass. It just adds like a little bit of credibility to your name as well. And I think when the UFC are sort of looking at that, they'll be looking at people that have been on Fight Pass. It's obviously easy access for them. And then when they watch the fight and see that it's like a masterful performance and it's exciting and it's fan friendly, then it only helps to get you to that next stage.
Sorry then, one last one. What can FCC fans and ONeil expect from Charles Joyner come September the 9th?
I think, as always, just like striking, as I say, like a cerebral striker. And I've been saying it's like when game meets striking brain. So I think when people watch me, they think like, okay, it's not like that bad. But then when they're in there with me, they sort of feel like they feel my energy, they feel what I'm doing, all the little shots that I'm setting up. And you can ask anyone that I've fought, anyone that I've sparred with, what it's really like to be in there with me, and it's different from what people expect. So in saying that, I think it's going to be an explosive fight, and I think it's going to be another good finish, like another good highlight for the reel.
Perfect. Charles, thank you very much for your time, mate, and all the best come September the 9th. Thank you.